Here's Vince after talking to the HOH for 2 hours by himself in a room while everyone else wants to talk to the HOH. He. No one knows we're in an alliance. We're doing so well. I love working with you. Meanwhile, everyone else. Isn't it strange that Vince and Lauren have been in the same room together for 2 hours on the night that she won the HOH? Of course, this continues on and on and on, and by now, it's no secret, except to Vince and Lauren. This is our comical reality. Let's talk about duos and how to actually keep them safe and secret. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day of the Big Brother 27 Companion. It is day 18, 20 in the Big Brother house, and I apologize for not getting more episodes out. One thing I'm learning is daily content is very hard to do because some days you're mentally feeling it and some days you're not, especially when you're kind of bored, like this house has been a bit. It is hard to be like, yes, I have exciting things to talk about. I did actually record episode 16, and then I learned that it was fully unmuted, and then I never got back to it. Nothing's better than recording something and then learning afterwards that you actually had no sound the entire time. Perfect. That episode will be re-recorded and coming out soon. That's episode 17. So you'll see that later. On that note, let's talk about this week's topic, or today's topic, which is secret alliances and duos. As I said in the open, Vince and Lauren think they're working together well. They're keeping everything secret. They're not. Everyone is caught on, and I think the thing that people don't quite realize in the Big Brother house, when they're playing and they're in the front, they're only seeing what they see, is the amount of time you spend with someone is generally tracked by people. There is a lot of time in the Big Brother house, and so you think, oh, I've talked to you for like 3 hours today. No one thinks that that's suspicious. But anytime I'm walking around or I stumble into people, people take note of who is nearby them, right? Who's talking to who? Because while you're not always talking game, anytime you're in a small room with two people, with just you and someone else, or two others, it's generally assumed that there's a good chance they're talking game. And so you track in your head, okay, I saw these two people talking together. That is interesting. Now, sometimes doesn't mean anything, but a lot of times you should assume at least there's a good chance it means something. And you, as someone who's trying to keep a relationship hidden, need to be aware of how often you spend time with each other. The Cookout, of course, of Big Brother 23 fame, famously didn't hang out as a group until day 80 something, or in like late 60s, late 70s, I think, right? And that was really important. They waited until I think Alyssa was in the DR and Claire was in the DR and Alyssa was doing something upstairs, and they very quickly met and then dispersed, right? And it was just for them to celebrate that they were all in the room together. Alliances are tricky to run that way because you don't have a lot of relationships, and the Cookout is truly the best to ever do it. But one of the keys to the Cookout is that they never hung out together until the end, right? Now, duos have to hang out with each other because that's just how a duo works. You can't be a secret duo and have never talked with each other, right? But the amount of time you talk with someone in your duo is really important. When you talk to somebody in your duo is really important. And I think a lot of players don't always quite realize that early on. The trick and the challenge is, how do I talk to my duo without other people realizing I'm talking to my duo? A lot of people say, well, oh, people don't think of us as game-wise even though we're talking. But the reality is that's not the case. The best way to do it is to disguise your relationship in terms of presence with the other person as about the same amount of time as other people. You need to blend in. So if you want to talk with somebody, you need to do it in one-on-ones. You need to make sure your one-on-one feels to the rest of the house like it's about a normal time, and maybe it was slightly longer, but not that much longer, and you move on. What you can't be doing is what Vince is doing, where he's talking for 2 hours. When Adrian comes in the room and Vince says, give us one more second, as we talked about in the HOH episode on Friday, When Adrian leaves and Vince says, I want to keep talking for a bit, that is a huge red flag to Adrian. It's telling Adrian, oh, these two people work together. When Rachel was walking around and Vince and Lauren were trying to find secret rooms and Rachel stumbled into them twice, that is a clear sign that there is an alliance here, or at least a game relationship here. Because you don't stumble into someone in separate rooms twice. Now, the good news for the current design of the Big Brother house is it's a little easier to meet people and not get caught because there's more reasons to quote unquote be in a space. An example is the gym being on the top floor means it's much more likely that people in the gym are working out for real. Whereas when the have not room was up there, it was really hard to go to that room to talk game unless you were have nots. And because, especially when you had the HOH in nearby and you could see on the monitor, it meant that you couldn't just secretly walk in that room and hang out and talk. You had to actually be a have not to do so. Otherwise, it was very easy to get caught. And someone knows, hey, these two people who are not have nots are going to the have not room. And they've been there for 20 minutes, right? With secret alliances and with duos, like I said, it's about disguise. It's also about when you're seen together and where you're seen together. A great example is you need your relationship to make sense within the house. Your presence with each other needs to make sense within the house. A good example of this is Rachel and Keanu. Now, their relationship is hostile as hell and definitely not a great game relationship, but the idea of like, oh, my personal trainer and he's going to take, I'm doing my daily like personal training workout or whatever. That's a great time to talk game because these two people are having a real quote unquote action that's not game related, but they're actually game talking. That is a great way to do it. You know, you have Danielle and you have Jason, and they committed to working together. They kept it secret, and the way they keep it secret is by not talking to each other a lot, by operating on opposite sides and trying to trade notes in short segments. If you want to have extended talks with people, the best time to do it is actually either right in the early beginning of the morning, when a lot of people are waking up, but not a lot of people are all fully up. So typically that requires it to be before the wake up alarm, which means that you need to do it like 8 or 9 a.m., or you need to do it at like 2 or 3 a.m., depending on the house. If it's a house that goes to bed early, you can do it at like 1 or you can typically do it at like 2 or 3. If it's a house that goes to bed late, you have to do it at like 3 or 4, right? You basically need to be reduce the chance of you getting caught. When lots of people are asleep or lots of people are busy, you have a lot more room to do things. That's why in the morning and at the night, late night, are your best two times. I think also like late night conversations are a great chance to interact with people as in solo conversations because you have a lot more time to talk for an extended period of time and way less people even paying attention or moving around. People are often trying to get ready for bed or they're already asleep. Works great. One last thought with secret alliances is that relations are also tracked, right? Alliances are theoretically like these like structure of six people. And a lot of people who are outside of an alliance don't always say, hey, these six people are clearly working together. But you can typically say, okay, this person is close with this person, and this person is close with this person, and this person is close with this person. And you're sort of creating a grouping light that might be not the exact alliance, but it has a clear core. Right? A lot of times people say, well, oh, our alliance isn't clocked. And that's important because if you have some smaller pieces that aren't known about, you have a couple ways to interact. But for example, Mickey totally thinks at this point that Vince and Lauren are working together. She also thinks that probably Zach and Lauren are working together. So she might say, okay, that's a grouping of three. I never talk with Adrian. Do you talk with Adrian? Do her people in her group? And they say, not really. So I said, well, there's a good chance because Adrian's smart. He's probably playing the game. So he's probably working with this group of people. And then you already have a cluster of four, right? And you assume Kelly's in that sort of mixing either. And Kelly's not in the bond, which is Adrian, Keanu, or Adrian, Vince, Lauren, Zach, Will, and Ava. But, you know, Kelly is clearly on that in that grouping, right? Lightly on that side. Same is kind of true with Keanu right now. And so the side that's not including Keanu says, hey, this is concerning because Keanu isn't talking with us. So you have to think his game relationship probably lies a bit more with this other grouping. And you might not have the specific alliance, but you have the grouping, which is what's most important. That's all I have to say today. Thank you guys so much. Um, Duos are hard to keep safe and secret. You need to do it at night or you need to do it in the morning. And whenever you're talking to them, you're at risk of being caught. So you need to make sure it looks like you're talking with them is either non-game related, and you have to really commit to that as a premise, or you need to be very quick and not talk for that long. Be very fast and decisive. But secret relationships are really hard to pull off, and they're hard for multiple reasons, one of which is if you don't talk to them a lot, then will they actually trust you? But the good news is that in this house, the secret relationship of Vince and Lauren very much not safe, which is probably for the best, especially if we want Vince out, because Vince is is a wildly good snake. On that note, thanks everyone so much. Bye.